Luis Botello. I am Senior Director of Special Projects for the International Center for Journalists, which is in Washington. And we work raising the standards of journalism all around the world, helping journalists and promoting media development. I'm here invited by the U.S. Embassy to talk to the media and do some training on best practices in journalism, and also on what's coming, the trend and the use of social media.
All right. Now, what are some of the major points that the workshop will be focusing on tomorrow? The points that you mentioned, what are some of the things that, the highlights that will be coming out of that?
I will summarize that it's very important to know that the media landscape is really changing. There is no turning back. We are really changing everything from how to gather information to how to manage the newsroom and even the business models. But the end user is also changing. And when I talk about the end user, we're talking about the audience. So the audience is also changing in terms of how they consume news and information. So what we need to talk about is how those changes are impacting what we do. Is basically we need to understand very clearly the standards of journalism. The core values of journalists will remain and should remain, this regardless of the technology. So how do we combine both? How can we have high standards, strong values, keep the credibility, while at the same time introducing new technology and trying to respond to the new consumer partners when it comes to media and information. So I'm going to be talking about what are those core values, how can we make decisions when we are facing those new challenges now, how to manage audience, how to deal with information that might not be verifiable at the moment, but it's coming so fast through all these social networks, how careful we should be, and how fast we should be in order to send information, and what kind of information you should actually be reporting depending on the platforms, because not every information is fit for every platform. So, and I think those points need to be clear in order to make sure we equip the journalists for the 21st century.
Which brings me to my next question. The challenges that journalists face with the rise of the social media, trying to decipher what is accurate information, what is inaccurate, what is even acceptable. How do journalists, and I guess of course you'll go in more in details tomorrow, but how do journalists deal with that challenge and while at the same time maintain its integrity?
That's a very good question, and that's a question that still the media is trying to sort out, how to solve. But I would say that in this sea of information, this explosion of information, what we probably need is more reasoning. And sometimes we feel that everything that is navigating on the web, we need to say it because that's freedom and that's because we feel it's out there already. And depends on the kind of media you want to be, depends on the kind of journalist you want to be. If you want to be a credible news source, you have to be more cautious in everything you do. Because of that, you gotta maybe reinforce the decision-making process. How do we make decisions when we just got a tweet, for example, about something that we don't know, who sent it, for example. What kind of standards and protocols do we have in newsrooms? How do we make those decisions? Sometimes we don't have any protocols because we were not faced with those challenges before. But the principles of verification is something that it should be always there regardless of the technology. We have to maybe reinforce the culture of verification. The culture of verification is we rather be very shy when it comes to information rather than being aggressive and be wrong. But we are going to make mistakes. There's no question about it. Even the big media organizations around the world are making mistakes because they are learning as they go. So the first thing is embracing the technology. Second is exploring, but always keep in mind that the culture of verification is first. And you can use other techniques to verify information. You can assess pictures. There are now new software, new technology available that is beginning to be tested because it's not 100% proof. But it's being tested in a sense that you have actually people verifying picture, verifying information through social network. And actually, there are new positions that are being created in newsrooms. Sometimes we just do not have the positions in the newsrooms. So I think we need to think about with a open mind when it comes to information through social media, but at the same time try to probably be more careful and try to incentivize and encourage the culture of verification.
Tell us a bit about the organization you represent and some of the work that it has done and intends to do.
Well, the International Center for Journalists has been around for 30 years. It's probably the most important media development organization based in the United States. Our main office is in Washington, D.C. We were born out of the need to create a space for journalists so they can exchange best practices, so they can see what works where and with what tools. And we never come with the formula that is going to solve all the problems. We basically come with tools. And those tools, you have to pick the tools that are going to help you in your environment, because not every tool works everywhere. So the organization was created by three very prominent American journalists who were very interested in promoting high standards and helping their colleagues overseas, because some of them were foreign correspondents. So they learn a lot about the challenges that journalists face in many other countries. So the program is around exchange programs, it's around hands-on training. We are very hands-on. We don't do things in sitting on classrooms. Everything is very hands-on. We practicing what we learn and what the trainers teach you immediately right after. We produce a lot of content through the training as well. We also send experts overseas that stay for a long period of time, a year and sometimes even more, working with the media in the countries. And we have done different media projects, from launching digital media centers in Mexico to global business reporting, master's programs in China, to innovating new technology, working with programmers and journalists so they can process data, in the 21st century when we are living in times where there is so much data that the media needs to know how to use it, how to do stories out of that data, and how to use the technology to benefit their work. So we do all those kind of programs, and they vary in topics. They could be anything from improving the coverage of religion, for example, through investigative reporting by creating teams across border to cover specific issues that they could not do maybe by themselves. So we provide tools. We are promoting a culture of innovation, especially in the Western Hemisphere, with projects that are basically being tested, from the coverage of elections to the use of new techniques like crowdsourcing. How do we engage citizens? And we even partner sometimes with civil society organizations that are producing content for the media. So the organization is in the cutting edge on best practices. We have worked in about 180 countries with roughly 80,000 journalists. So there's a lot of experience around what works and what doesn't work.
Finally, what is expected of the journalists tomorrow after this workshop ends? What is expected that they will do from there on?
Well, I do. I mean, first of all, I'm really honored to be here. I'm at the same time I feel very privileged because I know that the media here is also, facing challenges like in any other places. And we are going to try to give them some basic skills and some others that are not so basic that could maybe help them do a better job. But what I feel that what we could accomplish here is giving them hopes that things could change for better. I think that there is this sense within the journalism community around the world that because the business model is being disrupted, means that journalism may not be a profession that maybe could go far, but that's probably wrong, and we're going to be talking about that. I think there is no better time now to do journalism than nowadays, especially because those changes are basically allowing the profession to rethink their role in democracy and to is providing the journalists new tools that they should probably take advantage of to have a better informed citizen.